All right, so for today's practice, you really just need your mat, a couple of blocks, and blanket and bolster for Shavasana. So before we get started, I just wanted to quickly talk about an experience that I had this week or last week that was really hurtful and brought up a lot of shame within myself. So what happened was I went to see a bodywork practitioner who's like Instagram famous. Everyone raves about her. She's so great and she's doing so much good work for women. So I was like, well, I'm going to go see her. And she was a bitch. She shamed me for having a diastasis, which is when your abdominal muscles separate in pregnancy. It's very common. And I had 3 large babies, and it's been a struggle to get it to go back. So there was that. She shamed me for that. She shamed me for having an immune, like a autoimmune condition, which she said was caused by me not resting after I had my kids. And I really, really think that as women, we need to rest. We need to rest after we have babies. And sometimes it's not fucking possible. So we really need to be sensitive to that. Not everybody has a support system where they can just spend 40 fucking days in bed. And so that to me was coming from a place of privilege and judgment. And it was really uncalled for. So yeah, just calling that out and saying like, you know what? Everybody needs to heal. Everybody needs to be supported. Nobody needs your judgment. So if ever you feel judged by a practitioner, a teacher, anyone, I would say find someone new that appreciates the effort that you're putting in, because whatever it is, I know that we generally do our best. And so if someone is shaming you for what you've done in the past, for what you did 10 years ago, then fuck them. Seriously, fuck them. They can go to hell. So that's my words of wisdom for you today. And burn those fucking bridges. Burn them down. Burn them down. There's no space for that kind of treatment of women right now in today's world. Never. There never was. But maybe it was acceptable before, but it's not acceptable now, and it's not acceptable to me for anyone to treat me that way. So I'm just gonna stand up and say, you know what? That was not okay with me. So doing my best, and I know that you're doing your best too. So good on ya. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna get started with some breath. It's always a good way to center ourselves. It's the most important tool that we have for regulation of our nervous system, for coming back into our bodies, and for labor and birth. So let's get started. If you want, I invite you to either just look down or close your eyes, always an option. And just start to draw out your exhale. So you're going to inhale for a count of 2 and exhale for a count of 4. In and out through the nose. And just begin to feel yourself dropping into your sitting bones, into your legs, into your lower body. And wherever you are, however you're sitting, we're going to start to add some movement. So I invite you to sit on your heels if that's comfortable. If that does not work for you, you can always place a blanket between your bum and your feet, or a bolster between your knees. Okay, and we're going to start with a bit more breath work. So you're just going to lift your arms and let your heart sort of open up. So feel like this nice warm opening through the front of your heart. And we're going to add in some beautiful twists. So I always like to say that less is more. Little movements are like vitamins for our body. And we don't need to move into these really big twists, especially in pregnancy. So I think it's really important to keep the spine moving in all directions. Link your movement with your breath. Eyes open or closed. And then release that. Arms down to the side. You're just going to reach out to the side. You can have your block if you need it. And we're going to move into a side bend. So one arm up if that feels comfortable. And then we're going to tip the rib cage over. So you're moving into this nice side bend. And again, doesn't have to be huge movement. We just want to be able to feel that side body is getting a little bit juicier, woken up. Breathe into that rib cage. And then over to the other side. Same thing, arm up. Turn the rib cage to the side like it was full of water and you're pouring it out the side. Soften that other shoulder. Breathe into the rib cage. So I'm moving towards the left and breathing into the right. And then back. So we've done some twisting, side bending, and now we're going to move into some sagittal plane movements with the spine. So I'm just going to turn so you can see what's happening here. But I invite you to stay wherever you are. Hold on to the knees. We're going to start with the pelvis. So the tailbone is going to turn down towards the floor. Pubic bone lifts up. Spine rounds. Chin tucks. Reverse that. Tailbone lifts. Spine lifts. Heart lifts. Gaze up. So we're undulating the entire spine. And just feeling that the pelvis can move. And the whole spine can move. The shoulder blades can move. And everything can just sort of unwind itself. So notice if there's any extra tension through your neck or shoulders. And as always, be really mindful of how your knees are feeling, how your low back's feeling. If you're feeling any pain in your low back, maybe you're going a bit too far. So back it up a little bit and just do smaller movements. So you're just kind of rocking the pelvis on the feet. So I like to have the feet here for feedback. You can certainly do this sitting though. All right. So from here, we're going to come into downward dog. So this is a nice way to get the blood flowing through the legs, all through the joints. You can take some time here just to bend one knee and then bend the other knee. So you're moving the pelvis. And then we're going to make our way up to standing. So a couple ways to do this. You can take feet up to hands or hands back to feet. So whatever feels best for you. Wherever you are, inhale, come part way up. And then exhale and soften. Let it all go. Sink down. And then slowly come on up. Good. So now we're going to move the shoulder blades. Standing with your feet at least hip width apart, just so you have better balance. And we're going to start to move the shoulder blades one at a time. So they're kind of sliding, gliding around on the back. And then move in both directions. Move forward now. And then we'll move both together in both directions. And then sun salutations. When you're ready, arms reach up. Exhale, tip forward right from the pelvis. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sink down into your knees. Let your bum sit back. And then inhale, curl up. Exhale, curl down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Press the feet up, and we're going to go right into the second one. So you're going to exhale and sit back without any extra tension through the neck or shoulder blades. We're just allowing the spine to move forward and back. Right into the third one. So if you feel at any time like you don't have enough space for your belly, then you're just going to move your feet wider apart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl. Press it up. Arms reach up. Moving into Sun B, another variation. Arms reach up. So if you've done these videos before, you will probably be familiar with this sequence. You have your blocks nearby. You're going to lengthen. My head's being cut off. And then step back. Rock forward and back. So this movement comes from the foot and ankle. It's a great way to soften through the hips and to soften through the shoulders and neck. So often we're really tense and we're lifting up, spreading the shoulder blades and using all those muscles, but we don't have to. We can soften down, we can let the legs hold us up, and just move from the feet and ankles. And then we'll step it up. So a little reset, other foot back. Sink down into your hips, knee bent, forward and back. Soften. So if you want to feel the difference, you can really brace and lift round through the back, and then soften. Let the heart sink down towards the ground, and soften out. Soften through your feet, your hips, your legs, your jaw. And then step it up. Inhale, part way. Exhale, let it all go. Relax down. Heel toe your feet farther apart if they're too close. And then unwind and come back up to standing. Good. I think that's enough. So you can do as many of those as you like, adding in variations. Actually, let's do one more with the variation of archer. This is a really lovely flowing movement. So arms up, make sure you're not lifting the rib cage, but you're moving in the range that you have. And then exhale, tip forward, bend your knees. Come on up, take a breath. Step the left foot back and go right into your rocking, just to settle out the hips. Always inviting softness into the feet and legs and shoulders. And then strong legs as you press up. And then from here, we're going to move into archer. So left hand forward, right hand as though you're pulling a bow, and you're going to reach and release. And then roll the spine forward, roll the rib cage forward, and then open it up. So it's a nice little twist here. And you can do that as many times as you like. I'm going to bring it back now. Step up, lengthen out, other foot back, right into your rocking. And then find your way back up into your warrior. Sink in through your feet. Let the upper body relax. So this is not a tense thing, like you're all tense in your upper body. You want to be nice and soft and relaxed. Right hand forward, left hand is going to pull the bowstring and release. We'll do that the same as the other side. And it's always interesting to notice if one side is a little bit tighter than the other. And usually in most people, it is. So bring that back down. Strong legs, step it up or slide your foot up. Lengthen and then let it all go. Roll yourself up to standing or just come up. And then we're going to take the legs nice and wide. So we've done this pose. If you've ever been in my class or you've done it the other videos, where you probably know this flashlight pose, which I learned from Shelley Prosco 10 years ago or more, maybe 15. So pelvis, feel your pelvis, 1 foot forward, and you want to imagine that you have a flashlight in your vagina. That's why I call it flashlight pose. And you're going to shine your flashlight up and down on the floor so that we're moving from our pelvis. So I have seen this. This is not a flashlight. This is shoulders moving. Pelvis is not moving at all. So flashlight is when the pelvis moves. All right, our largest joint. Okay, so we'll do that on both sides. Let's switch and do the other side. Do a little exploration. So we're originating this movement from the pelvis. And then we're going to go back to the other side. And now I want you to take it down into your feet. So we've got that solidity and that movement through the pelvis. Now we're going to bring it into the feet, and I want you to press in through your feet and let that feeling come through your feet. So you're really active through your feet. Forward foot, backwards foot. And notice if there's a difference. Do you feel a difference when you originate the movement from your hips or from your feet? For me, it feels more solid and stable when I've already woken up the hips and the pelvis a bit, and then I move into my feet. Okay, let's do the other side. Move, press the floor away, and then press the floor away. Front foot presses the floor away, back foot presses the floor away. It actually feels a little more grounded this way for me. Okay, both feet facing slightly out, and then just take a minute to like shake it out, shake your shoulders, shake your hips, and then move from your feet. So we're pressing the floor away with the feet and just letting the spine kind of undulate side to side. So we're getting a little bit more free flowing movement, which is important. So important that we move our bodies in different ways. So we don't want to always be so structured in our movements. So now a little bit of a squat. This is not a recommended position if you're postnatal. So if you've just had a baby, you probably feel like your pelvic floor is just going to drop right out. That's not a great feeling. Okay, and then we're going to bring it up. Sitting down, press it up. Again, if you have any pain, you want to go a little bit less. If you have pain in the pubic symphysis, you want to bring your feet a little bit closer. Okay, so this is a very nice structured movement. And now we're gonna mess it up a little bit. So you're gonna drop down, hands onto your knees, bend forward a little bit, and then we're just gonna start to feel how our bodies can move. So we can move from the pelvis, we can move from the shoulders, we can move from the feet. Okay, so we're just kind of going side to side, stretching out through the side rib cage. And then we can add in a twist. So we can start to turn the rib cage. Turn the rib cage, both directions. If you feel creaking or clicking in your hip like I just did, you want to go less. So I'm just going to go a little bit less because I know my hip's a little bit funky right now. And then come up to standing. Arms reach up. Get nice and tall, and then relax. Heel, toe your feet back together. And then standing, hips slightly apart. We're going to do another variation of a squat. So now your feet are a little bit wider, maybe slightly wider than hips. If you're carrying quite low, you want to have them a little bit wider than hip width. And then you're going to sit back, sit back, sit back, sit back. Pause there, roll your spine down, roll your spine up. Let's come back up. I'm going to move to the side. So you can see I'm moving from hip crease, from the bum, arms onto the knees. So I'm a little bit less structured here. I'm just letting my spine kind of move in different directions. And then come on back up. Last one. Sit back and let your spine move. So if you want to go side to side, a little bit of a twist maybe, little shoulder shrug, and then come on back up. Awesome. All right, so let's move into triangle pose. A couple more standing poses, then we're going to come down onto the ground. So triangle pose, just like we did with the flashlight pose, you're going to move through your feet and your hips. So press the floor away, let your pelvis move, reach down to where is comfortable. Make space in the front of your body so you don't have this feeling of like tensing through your neck and squishing through the front of your body. You want to make as much space as you can. If it's okay, arm reaches up. Neck is wherever is comfortable. Fingertips reach forward and then all the way around. Back up. Warrior. So we've got this warrior two. Our hips and shoulders are looking towards the long edge of the mat. Arms up. A little bit of flow here. So I've seen this one done where it's like the pelvis wants to move and the back gets all jammed up. And I want you to think about when you move into this pose that the pelvis is stable, the legs are strong, and you're moving from the rib cage. Okay, not from the pelvis. Reaching up and over. And then we're going to move into extended side angle. So knee on top, turn the heart a little bit. Maybe turn your gaze if your neck feels relaxed. Stay here or reach up and over. And it changes all the time. So some days you might feel like it feels really good to look up and open up, and some days you might want to just look at the floor. Then we're going to come back to this warrior pose. Nice and strong through the legs, strong through the pelvis, and then move the rib cage. Other side. So moving into triangle first. Press through the feet, press through the pelvis. Nice and open through the front of the body. Arm reaches up. Gauge where your neck wants to be. Reach it forward. All the way back up. Warrior two. So take a moment to check in, let your breath soften your upper body. Shoulder blades drop. And then we're going to reverse that, let the rib cage move, and then elbow to knee. Make some space, feel grounded and solid. So if any time you feel constricted or squished, see what you can do to make small adjustments so that you can feel more open and more relaxed in the pose. Arm overhead if it's applicable to you today. And then we'll come on back up to this warrior. One last time. Oh, there comes the sun. In through the window. Heel toe your feet back together. Okay, we're almost done standing. So you're going to have a block, and you're going to stand on your block, and then just swing the leg forward and back. So just trying to keep relaxed through the upper body so your shoulder blades aren't holding you up. You're not a marionette puppet. Woo, getting a little crazy over here. And then we're going to rotate the legs Leg bone rotates in the hip socket, pelvis is stable. And then I'm just going to lift up the knee. So I'm activating that hip flexor. And lower. Lift and lower. Checking in that everything's still relaxed in the upper body. And then I'm going to do a little hip shrug. So I'm going to think about pressing in through my standing foot and lifting up the pelvis. And then pressing in, lifting up. I'm just going to do this 3 times. And then coming down to rest, just to see if you feel different from side to side. And then we'll move right into the next side. So standing and swinging the leg. Relax the shoulders and neck. And then moving into some rotation of the leg bone. So the leg is loose and free here. No tension holding through the hips or the jaw, and the shoulder blades are relaxed. And then knee lift. So now pretend you're a marionette puppet and you have a string on your knee. You're just going to pull that up and down. Pull it up and down. But your shoulders don't have those strings. They're just relaxed. Just your knee. The last one, hip shrug. So pressing in through the foot as you pick the hip up. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a big movement. And you want to stay connected through the leg bone hip socket. And then come on down. Okay. So we're going to come right down to the floor, onto your backs. So if you're not comfortable on your back, you can skip this part. Yeah, just skip it if you're not comfortable on your back. No sense doing something that you don't feel safe doing. Okay, so from your back, we're going to do a little bridge. So I'm just going to take a minute to drop back into my body. Feel my shoulder blades on the floor. Feel my pelvis and my spine. I notice that my spine has a curve in the back that doesn't touch the ground, and I want to honor that. I'm not going to try to flatten my spine to the ground. I want to let my head be really heavy. I'm just going to rock side to side so I can remind my neck to not get involved. And then I'm going to warm up my shoulders a bit. So I'm just going to lift the shoulder blades off and then softly place them back down. Lift my shoulder blades, place them back down. Just going to do this a few times, linking the movements with my breath. And then I'm going to start to take them overhead. And I always love to do this, especially after I've been sitting a lot, because I get a lot of tension in my rib cage. And when I start to take my arms overhead, I can feel it all through the rib cage. So I'm going to stop when I start to feel that tension building and that desire to want to lift through my rib cage. I don't want to do that. For one thing, it's not great for my low back. And another thing, it doesn't really show me how much mobility that I have through my shoulders. It shows me how much mobility I have through my mid back or my low back, which is probably a hell of a lot more. So let's just stick with shoulder mobility, not back. Good. And then I'm going to come into little bridge. So if you have a block or a ball that you want to place between your knees, you can do that. Otherwise, shoulder blades relaxed. We're just going to lift up into your little bridge that's comfortable. So we don't want to go super high. And then I just want you to feel your pelvis, unclench your bum a wee bit, and then drop your tailbone down, and then back up. So drop your tailbone, relax your bum, and then press back up. So we're kind of waking up the bum right here. Hello, bum. Let's do some work. So notice if you can feel what it's like to have your bum relaxed, and then have your bum working to press your hips back up, and relaxed, and then working. Okay, so you're going to come back up to the top of the movement, and if your neck and your shoulders are still good, then you're going to lift your heels up. And then we'll start to just lower one heel at a time. And then we can lift and lower both heels together. Ooh, I'm a little bit shaky there. Haven't done this one for a long time. One last time. And then relax. And then just let yourself reset on the ground. Just relax back into that. And we're going to do some symmetry work for the pelvis. So we're going to do butterfly pose. So you want to just start to let the knees fall open. The same pace. And then closed. Knees fall open. And then close them up. So again, if you have a pubic symphysis pain, you want to go only as far as you can without increasing your pain. It's really important. Okay, so now we're going to look for some symmetry and balance through the pelvis. And I want you to keep your hands on your pelvis. Soften your shoulder blades and neck and head and jaw. And then we're just going to take the right leg out and back. So we're just feeling how the leg bone can move in the pelvis without the pelvis moving. So I know for myself, it's not a ton of movement. So when I see people that are like, woo, right to the side, I know that your pelvis is moving. So yeah, back it up a little bit. Small movements are like little vitamins for your body. We need them. We need big movements too. We need joyful movements. We need all kinds of movement in our body. So we really want to make sure we don't get stuck in one way of doing things. And sometimes when we do this work, our neck and shoulders are like, hey, I want to help. Let's do this together. But remind them that this is not their job. They can just chill. Just relax neck and shoulders. And then we're going to come back into butterfly. So we're opening and closing the knees. So this is a bit of external rotation of the leg bone. And then I'm going to walk the feet wider and bring the knees into the center. And then I'm going to turn the heels into the center and let the knees open out. And then again, heels turn out, knees turn in. So I don't want you to move into pain here, only moving as far as is comfortable. So if your knees don't come all the way together because you feel jammed up through here, that's okay. Just work where you are. Okay, that was the last one. And then we're going to roll on to the side and do a little bit more side stuff. So if you have a pillow, great. If not, use your arm. We're going to do some clamshells. So we're feeling how the leg bones can move without the pelvis getting involved. Oh. So knees are lifting, feet are together. And then I'm just going to take that top leg. So the knee and the hip are in line, and I'm going to straighten out the leg and just start to make little circles. So again, I'm going to keep my body relaxed, my jaw relaxed. I'm just making little circles. And then I'm going to bring the leg back up and I'm going to lift the knee. So I've got the foot lifted, knee lifted, external rotation, and then I'm going to internally rotate. Externally rotate, internally rotate. Okay, so external rotation, great way to move the pelvis and the legs when you're in labor and the baby is quite high up. So we want to encourage the pelvis to move in a way that lets the baby move deeper into the pelvis. Okay, so that's external rotation is great for that. Internal rotation is when baby is lower down, stationed farther down in the pelvis, and is not progressing. So then we want to get some internal rotation of the leg bone. Good to practice. And then we're going to do the other side. So if you want to just roll right over, I'm going to do this one. So feet together, knees lift, pelvis doesn't move. So you can definitely do this with your whole pelvis and everything moving, but let's try to keep it so that pelvis is stable, just the leg bone's moving. So we're kind of targeting that movement a little bit more. So the more that we can do to encourage functional movement of our leg bones and our pelvis, the better we are in labor and delivery, or labor and birth. I'm not going to use the word delivery anymore because no one's going to deliver you. You are going to birth your baby yourself. Okay, now I'm going to lift my knee up, take the leg out, and do little circles. So you want to think about this connection of ribcage and pelvis. And then we'll add in some internal, external rotation. So lift up the leg, feel that leg bone, internal, external. Everything else is chilling out and relaxing. Shoulder blades do not have to help out with this, even though they want to be helpful sometimes. Okay, that's probably enough. So I would invite you now to make yourself comfy for Shavasana. So you can use your bolsters, your blankets, your pillows, all of the beautiful props that you have to support yourself, and get really, really comfy. And then I will invite you to maybe put your headphones on and cue up one of the yoga nidras or the short meditations. So thank you for practicing along, and we'll see you next time. Bye.